Dr. Harsha De Silva charges that the public has been made to face serious difficulties owing to the incorrect economic policies of the government. Silva points out that the country's foreign reserves have declined as a consequence of the measures taken to artificially maintain the exchange rate and interest rate. Dr. Harsha De Silva states that the current economic problems have cropped up due to the government's desire to honour the conditions agreed with the International Monetary Fund in order to obtain the remaining tranches of the IMF standby facility.
You know, we have been saying this for the last 9 months, that the unintelligent economic management of the government was the cause for this dramatic increase in prices that the people of this country will have to be burdened with. So essentially it was bad economic management. We said the problem was with the artificially low interest rates and the artificially high exchange rates. By combining these two things, the government created a massive problem in the balance of payments in the trade account. We saw a huge trade deficit. In spite of all that, the government wanted to keep the rupee at that arbitrary 110. Nivar Cabral kept selling down the reserves. From about $8 billion, it has come down to $5.5 billion. By selling down the reserves, you created a liquidity problem in the money markets. Instead of letting the interest rates increase, the central bank printed more than 200 billion rupees in terms of treasury bills held by the central bank. Anybody can see that. The central bank finally realized it didn't have enough reserves to sell down. Thereafter, it went to the IMF and said, look, we need to get the full complement of the loan that was agreed upon. There was $800 million more to come. The IMF said, look, we can give you the money, but ensure that you live up to the agreement that you signed with us. Points in particular was to ensure net international reserves, in other words, non-borrowed reserves. It had to go up. Second condition was to ensure that the combined losses of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Ceylon Electricity Board was brought down to zero. And those two things had to be done.
It is in this backdrop that Dr. Harsha De Silva requests the government to minimize its wasteful expenses in order to minimize the severe economic suffering faced by the people owing to the increase in fuel prices, electricity tariffs and many other goods and services.
We are demanding the government to shut down Mihin Air tomorrow. The loss made by Mihin Air alone is 14 billion rupees. This is excluding year 2011 since reports pertaining to that year have not been released. Plans are being formulated to construct a tower at a cost of $110 million US. We are asking for this 13 billion from the government. Don't spend this 13 billion. Stop the wasteful expenses by spending 13 billion here and 13 billion there. Formulate a mechanism through which that money can be used to help people live.
The Janata Vimukti Peramunu charges that the government is acting based on agreements reached with the International Monetary Fund. JVP Politburo member Anrukumar Dissanayake stated that the government has increased the cost of living in accordance with an agreement to obtain the next IMF tranche.
The JVP distributed leaflets in the Hinguragoda town today to create awareness amongst the people on the rising cost of living.
The International Monetary Fund demanded that if the government is to obtain the next tranche, to minimize the losses made by state corporations and to devalue the rupee. It is in order to minimize the losses made by state corporations that for the first time in history that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation increased fuel prices by such an unimaginable amount. The Ceylon Electricity Board also increased electricity tariffs. Furthermore, bus fares were increased to avoid the losses made by the Sri Lanka Transport Board. The water bill will be increased to avoid losses made by the Water Board. the government has reached an agreement with the International Monetary Fund to obtain this next tranche, but the people of this country are facing serious difficulties. Therefore, the government has disregarded the general public and is preparing to make the people suffer by becoming a pet of the International Monetary Fund in order to obtain the next tranche. And it's time now for Crime Watch.
A renowned businessman in the Begum area was brutally murdered with the use of a sharp object this morning. The police said that the murder had taken place at around 6 a.m. The victim has been identified as 65-year-old Ebert Bernard Jayaratne, a father of two. He was murdered when he went to his land located in the Kimbul-Vilawat area in Lower Dompe from his workplace this morning. The worker said that an individual who arrived on a motorbike had attacked the businessman with a sharp object. I went with my mother to the front garden. When I was returning, I saw a motorbike stopped here. When Sir arrived, the motorbike moved forward. Sir was stabbed. When he started screaming, that person chased behind us and slashed my sister's hand. The businessman, who sustained serious injuries to his head from the attack, died on the spot. The magisterial inquest into the death was carried out by the Pugur magistrate Chandrani Payakala Bandara. The victim had also served in the Sri Lanka Navy for some time. Jayaratne, who was an owner of a hotel in the Begum area, was also the chairman of the Begum Traders Association. The police investigations are underway into the murder. Hindu devotees the world over celebrate the Mahasivaratri festival today.
According to Hindu legend, Mahasivaratri marks the day on which Lord Shiva proved that he was the strongest god amongst all other gods. Hindu beliefs speak of a dispute which arose between Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma over who the strongest god was. And it is during this moment that Lord Shiva had intervened and produced a great beam of light which bridged the expanse between the ground and the sky. Lord Shiva had spoken to the two gods and told them that whoever is capable of finding the two corners of the beam of light will be the strongest god. Thereby Lord Vishnu transformed into a swine and began digging in search of one corner of the beam of light, while Lord Brahma transformed into a swan and flew off into the sky in search of the other corner. However, both gods were unable to find the corners, and they accepted Lord Shiva as the most powerful god. Hindu devotees the world over celebrated this day in remembrance of Lord Shiva and this historic occasion. Many religious activities were held throughout the day to mark the Mahasivaratri festival.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne issued messages to mark Mahasivaratri today.
In his message, President Mahinda Rajapaksa states that Mahashivaratri symbolizes the constant effort by humans to dispel the darkness of ignorance with the light of knowledge, as well as achieve unity and harmony both in their lives and in society at large. The President adds that Sri Lankan Hindus have been coexisting with followers of other religions in brotherhood and harmony for centuries, and that with the peace that now prevails throughout the land, they are free to celebrate this important religious event in a true spirit of brotherhood and solemnity. The President wishes all Sri Lankan Hindus the joyous blessings of Mahashivaratri and wishes that their aspirations for a better tomorrow come true. Meanwhile, issuing a release to mark the day, Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne says that Mahashivaratri could be interpreted as the day that the wishes and resolutions of all Sri Lankans bear fruit. Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne notes that Mahashivaratri is a festival that should be celebrated with devotion, sans religious affiliations, by all Sri Lankans. The release states that a close study of Hindu legends and Mahashivaratri pujas reveal that God Shiva grants redress to everybody who seeks solace irrespective of his or her religion, while what is more important is self-belief and purity of one's conscience.
You're watching News First, your #1 news provider. Up next is a look at Action TV.
The construction and renovation of roads was given the top priority under the Naganahira Navodaya program in order to ensure that the benefits of development is reaped by the rural community as well. It was under the Naganahira Navodaya program that the main road between Akkarepattu and Panama was renovated and carpeted. However, even after renovation was completed, the expected benefits from this road were not reaped by residents of nearby villages. Instead of waiting for benefits of development to come to them, the paddy farmers of this area are attempting to secure land on either side of the carpeted road from Akkarepattu to Panama. These farmers are acting in this manner in order to sell their produce. Although officers of the Paddy Marketing Board who are tasked with going in search of farmers and purchasing their produce at government stipulated price have been deployed in Vavuniya, farmers have been unable to locate these officers in question. The harvesting of paddy in the Kalmune, Akkarepattu, Samanture, Potuville and Tirukhovil areas commenced a month ago.
We work tirelessly. We have to protect our crops from elephants. We work hard. We bring our produce to this location, but we are treated like beggars.
Even though officials of the Paddy Marketing Board who are tasked with the duty of locating paddy fields and purchasing the produce of farmers have conveniently wilted away from their responsibilities, competition among traders who arrive from areas such as Polonnaruwa to purchase the paddy harvest piled up on the main road of these farmers are rife. These traders are competing to purchase paddy at the significantly lower rate and have no regard for the resident paddy farmers.
We work tirelessly amidst various obstacles. On one side, we have to face the elephants. However, paddy is purchased from us for 15 or 16 rupees.
These traders purchased a kilogram of Nadu at a price of 15 rupees. The government stipulated price for a kilogram of Nadu during the previous Maha season was 18 rupees. During the previous Maha season, the stipulated price for a kilogram of Samba stood at 30 rupees. However, the traders are currently purchasing a kilogram of Samba paddy for a mere 17 rupees. These traders are purchasing paddy at such paltry rates in a backdrop where the production cost incurred by these farmers has significantly increased. While these farmers were enduring harsh conditions in order to sell their produce, officials of the Paddy Marketing Board, who are responsible for looking into the plight of these farmers, took part in a softball cricket tournament throughout the day yesterday under the guise of holding a special workshop. This tournament, which was staged in the Wakwala area in Gaul, brought together Paddy Marketing Board officials from across the country. Incidentally, it was not private funds which were utilized for this tournament. When taking into consideration the main issue faced by the Paddy Marketing Board at present, one can realize that these officials will not be able to solve any issue by engaging in such activities. Action TV will delve deeper into this issue tomorrow.